You're watching HCAM TV. Hello, Hopkinton, and welcome to the Hopkinton Hangout Hour. This is the second week in July, and you are tuning in to the Hangout Hour where we talk about all things Hopkinton. Now, this week, we are talking with representatives from the South Asian Circle of Hopkinton, and we've had them on before, and they have a lot of things going on. So we're excited to welcome them back right now. And first up, I see Mina is with us. We're still waiting for Munzi and Isa. But Mina, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and, excited for summer, excited for this year where most people are getting vaccinated and we're able to meet people face to face. Although I realize this is all this is by Zoom, but hopefully soon I will get to visit the HCAM studios and do this in person.
Yes, we are actually opening up. We're in the process of opening up. So the next time, it'll be great to welcome you in. And now I see Muniza has joined us. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi, Jim. Hi, Mina. How are you?
Good.
Very well. Now, what I'd like to just do first is just in case somebody hasn't heard, sorry about that, just in case somebody hasn't heard about your group, let's take a minute or so and talk about how your group organized, how long you've been together, and a little bit about that.
Sure, I can start, and Vanessa, feel free to chime in because I'm sure I'll miss things. So, as you know, I've been a resident of Hopkinton since 2006, but somewhere around the middle to 2016-17, Hopkinton had a really large explosion of construction, new developments, and new families moving in, and we had a sizable number of South Asian families in Hopkinton. So we decided where, in the past we used to go and do things, events, cultural events in Framingham or Shrewsbury or Marlborough. We felt now we had a good number here. And this group was Ruta and Charusmita and Sushma, they were, and many others decided to found this really from having a small group get together. And we decided that we wanted to do a lot more than just cultural events. So that's how the South Asian Circle was born. Really, it's about creating cultural awareness, including other people in telling them how we celebrate with food and with music, and also doing community outreach, because there's a lot of talent in the South Asian community, and we want to share that with the rest of Hopkinton. And also civic engagement, one of the biggest goals for us is to have the community participate in the town, local government, in the local, not only government, but in all activities, and be part of the civic culture of this country. So that's the little bit of history. So, Manisa.
I'm just going to add a little bit to this. So I think I was introduced to such around 2018, maybe 2019. I'm not very clear on that. And what I gravitated towards it because it just felt like it was a little glimpse of home away from home. That's how it started for me. And for us to keep our culture going for our children, just so that they stay in touch with their roots, is very hard on a day-to-day basis, because they go to schools, they're mostly interacting with one culture, and it's very hard to keep them gravitating towards their roots. So this was a great opportunity to do that. But then as I got involved with it, which I have to say, because of my work limitations, it's very little. Meena is very gung-ho and all in, hands-on. Ruta, Hari, Smita, there's so many other members. But what I can say is what I started really enjoying about it was it wasn't just about us staying with it, in touch with our culture, but also sharing with everybody else and then taking on some others. So I got interested in, for example, the Chinese culture. And it just suddenly is now something of interest when you see people from other cultures reaching out, showing so much interest in your culture, what's second nature to you. It then makes you want to learn more about them as well. So I thought this was a great way of opening our own minds and accepting other ways and cultures.
I think that's really exciting. And it's so interesting that you mentioned that because just last week I was talking to um, another group, and I was thinking that, you know, there are some really strong cultures in our community now. And by strong, I mean that we are becoming much more diverse and there's much greater representation of different cultures. And there are a couple of distinct groups, and it's very different than, let's say, at the high school you would join, you know, the diversity club, and it would be all different kind of cultures coming in. But you know, your group, South Asian Circle of Hopkinton, has a very distinct and unique culture. And um, and it's so fascinating when you were talking about how it's hard and it's difficult to retain your culture when, with your kids when they're coming and they only have, you know, our culture here, and your culture is like based so far away. You can't just go home on the weekend and, you know, enjoy that. So we will get to food because that's, to me, that is the universal culture. Everybody
That
has their food and their styles, but I'm interested from the perspective of trying to preserve and impart the culture um, to the next generation. What are some of the big touchstones or the big events that are important to you?
Well, I will start the two main that, well, actually three, but the last year was kind of a wash. But I'll talk about 2019. We did a festival of colors, which is, you know, a huge explosion of. It's called Holi in India and celebrated during springtime. It's just signifies similar to how the flowers bloom and we have all the colors blooming, and we it's played with actual colors that we put on each other. We did that in the town common, and it was we decorated the entire common with colorful hangings from the trees, and we handed out colors that people put on each other. We had a food truck that came and was selling Indian food. And then last year, because we had it was all virtual, we did a fantastic Eid celebration. And I will let Muniza talk about that because she did the whole thing.
So I have to say it was a very different experience for me because I'm Muslim and I've been part of a lot of Indian Holi festival, Diwali, and you know the Indian culture, the religion is just the Hindu religion. It's just so vibrant, so vivacious, so colorful, so musical. Whereas our religion is a little bit more subdued, if I may say so, and very simple that way. So when Sach approached and said, okay, how about we celebrate Ramadan and Eid, which is, you know, 30 days of Ramadan is ended by Eid. I honestly didn't know how to, but they kind of asking me so many questions. I think it's the creativity of their minds that they probed and asked so many questions that it led to a celebration of how we actually can celebrate. It's not just about the food, it's about the kids. It's a holiday, it's something to celebrate, not to be sad about. So we put together these videos of various homes in Massachusetts celebrating and observing the month of Ramadan, how they open their fast, how they close it, how they pray. And you know, my kids are not super religious, but they were watching me do this, and that got them asking questions about something I've been trying to drill in their heads for so long. But it resonated much more for them because now their friends were actually participating or observing it with them. So it was fantastic. It was very nice.
Mm.
So
Now,
Muniza killed two birds with one stone.
That's always the goal. Maximize. Work smarter, not harder.
Yes, absolutely.
great. Now, question I have is the Festival of Colors, is that also a religious festival?
No, it is a celebration of spring. So
Okay.
it's not, so the word holy is not Holy, it's Holi. It just
Mhm.
means it's celebrated in the month of March or April, but we do it later here because it's to be celebrated outdoors, not indoor. And March and April gets to be dicey. And you're celebrating literally the flower blooms and all the colors, and people are coming out of winter, and they just want to do things outside, celebrate with. We have a bonfire uh, at the end of the day. So
Mhm.
during the day you're celebrating with colors and food, and then you have kind of like a huge bonfire.
Mhm. All
Yeah.
right. So let's get into the food a little bit, kind of talk about that. So, what types of foods do you celebrate with?
Oh, Muniza, you want to take that? I don't know where to start.
So it's so, Jim, it's so versatile, the culture. It's there's so many I don't know what to equate that to, but it's like uh, just that I would say there's at least about 150 different cultures in this group right now,
Mm.
different languages, different cultures, and it's just something new every time that we experience. A lot of people think that samosa is and chai are the two, standard Indian. Oh my God, it's so much more than that. It is so much more than that. And it's a
Yeah.
bummer COVID, the chai thing stopped, but we would love to take it to a different level even from there once things open up properly.
Yeah, and to add to what Muniza said, so the South Asian, even though we say it's like 7 countries, just taking each region has a completely different cuisine.
Right.
So most people are familiar with the North Mughlai kind of cuisine, which is all the way from Pakistan, India, some parts of Nepal also. But the southern parts, which is India, southern India, Sri Lanka, is got a completely different kind of cuisine. Very, very different use of spices, different use method of cooking. We have something in the southern part of India called dosa, which is like the crepe, which is like the French crepe, but it's a savory crepe.
Mm.
And we have the rice cakes, and we have some things like a donut, but it's savory donut, and it's had with a sauce called the sambar, vada sambar. So there's so many things that are part of the cuisine that we don't even identify it as Indian food or South Asian food. So
Right.
there's a lot more we can bring to the table, and it'll take many months to
All right.
explore everything.
So, just a quick aside, because last week I was asking the Chinese American Association the same question. So, if when you are preparing these types of foods that you had just mentioned for a celebration, or just that's your style of cooking, is it
I'm losing
different
you guys. I don't
than
hear
if we
you.
were to go to an Indian or a South Asian cuisine restaurant? Sometimes they talk about how when you go to a restaurant, it's kind of like the Americanized version of that food, or is what you're making pretty similar to what we would find in a restaurant around here?
So I can start with that, especially the South Indian kind of food. It's not, it's there's very few restaurants that serve only South Indian food. The majority of the food that you see is like North Indian. Of course, there's variation, right? Some things
Yeah.
that we cook at home are different from what you find in restaurants. When it comes to authenticity, it is definitely a little bit, I would say, geared towards the so-called American palate. But there are still a lot of authentic foods that are available in restaurants. I wouldn't say that
Hmm.
it's definitely, it's not home cooked food, of course, but
Right.
that is to be expected.
Right. All
But
right.
Jim, if you go hardcore for
Yeah.
food, like I can speak of the we're big chicken and meat eaters. Um, you can have the same dish like chicken curry or chicken korma. You can have that in 100 different ways, depending on which part of the country it's cooked in.
Mm,
So you
wow.
could say, I like the one from Bangladesh, from this side of Bangladesh, really well. And I love it from Lahore in Pakistan, but I'm not that crazy about the same thing from Sindh in Pakistan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get it. I mean, it's just like here, right? I mean, there are, you talk about a Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, yeah.
That's, you can't get that anywhere but Philadelphia.
Right, right.
So, you know what? I should have asked this at the beginning because I'm curious. How big is Satch?
Oh, Mina, you have to answer that. I have no idea.
That depends. I mean, we don't have a membership. We're not a membership based organization.
Okay.
So, so anybody can take part in any event that we organize. So we didn't
Okay.
want it to be like you have to be part of our organization to enjoy whatever we do, or be the recipient of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So so to come to that, moving away from cultural, we do a lot more in terms of community outreach. We started a couple of years ago. This is our second year doing. We do a scholarship for a Hopkinton high school student, and a girl as a student, and this was our second year in doing that. We're hoping to expand that more in the coming years. So we were very happy. We got such good applications for it. It was very heartening to go through that process and be able to give the small amounts that we can afford to, but still it felt very good to be a part of that. Also, we did a class for women and teens on stocks, demystifying stocks. So I ran that program through the Hopkinton Park and Rec, and there were 4 sessions where we wanted to um, educate, create awareness, demystify really what the financial world is all about. And other things we did last year, we ran a summer camp, a week-long summer camp for middle school. I think it was elementary, middle school children on STEM, and that was run by one of this such board members who is a professor at UMass Boston. And she got a grant from UMass Boston, and we were able to run that program in Elmwood. That was a two-part. We it served elementary children, and also took Hopkinton high school students as mentors or interns for the program. So these are the different ways that we want to give back to Hopkinton and make this an even more better place for every one of us.
Now, so that's really cool. And you talked about at the beginning that you're not a membership organization. So I take from that you could be from, like, if you were outside of Hopkinton but still had an interest, you could be part of your group.
Yeah, you could. I mean, nothing prevents someone from joining in the activities of such. I mean, they are going to benefit the town of Hopkinton, but if you live in Westboro and you want to come and join something in Hopkinton, more than welcome.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, and is your organization primarily focused on supporting members of our South Asian community, or you know, uh, is anybody who's interested?
No, it is not supporting just members of South Asian community. It is supporting everyone in Hopkinton. So the South Asian Circle of Hopkinton board is made up of South Asians,
Mm-hmm.
but the community we serve is the entire town of Hopkinton.
Okay. Now, when you are talking about your group and when you are thinking about why you have joined to participate beyond supporting our community of Hopkinton, which, as I say often, is a fantastic community that's just can be very, very supportive. And I'm really excited to see, whenever a group pops up for any particular reason, it's always like, even people who just love gardening, oh, they'll join the gardening club and they're beautifying Hopkinton by doing that. So I understand the concept that, you as a community are supporting Hopkinton. But I'd also like to get a little bit into just for a minute or so, like what when you're talking about preserving your culture and exposing your kids to your culture, what kind of things are you looking um, to preserve and to pass on and to share with your children and with the community?
Yeah, I can go with that first, and then I'm sure Muniza will add much more eloquently. So when we are raising our kids in a different country, we want them to be aware of our roots, and at the same time, we want them to be part of the culture that they are growing up in. So we want them to embrace the American values as well, but also be proud of their roots. So when your kids are young, they want to blend in. They don't want to stand out. So we want to encourage our kids and our kids' friends to learn about our culture, and thereby our children are not and don't want to hide it, but want to spread it. So I don't know, Madisa.
No, you said it perfectly. I mean, it's just trying to bring down these walls that we all create around us versus them. Um, that skin color or that type, right? And I think we all understand that we have to start from welcoming other cultures into our homes and into our lives. Come look at us, who we are, and we want to see who you are as well. But a lot of times, I think in the past, like my husband is second generation here. He was born in, well, he was born and raised here, but his parents moved here 65 years ago to Hopkinton. And his parents never reached out. They just stayed within their own community, right? That was it. Their own community of four South Asian people, right? And he grew up thinking they were the odd ones out because he gelled in with everybody else. So I think partially they're to blame because they never opened up their homes because they just thought they're different, they look different, so they need to stay amongst their own people. And that's not a good way. I think there's a lot of wonderful people that we've met through such and just through the town, people who are so interested in other cultures. They want to know, they want to embrace, they want to open up their homes to all of us, as do we. So I think it has to start from making that first move. Whoever makes that first move, it's a great thing all in all for everybody. More to love, more to cherish than and less to hate.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually, what you said, opening up the home, it literally happened to me when we moved to Hopkinton back in 2006. I don't know if they still do it, hometown hospitality. There was one lady, she knocked on the door, she came with a bag of goodies, and she said, "Oh, this is how we welcome people." And I was like, wow, come on in. We had just moved in, things were helter skelter, but she was very interested. And I said, this is us, this is like this. So I think Hopkinton is very unique that way, that
Right.
someone comes to your door when you're moved in and comes with a bag of goodies and says, these are all the resources available in town. I
That's
don't
it.
know if that still happens. Melissa, do you know?
I think it stopped just because it got so big, and also,
Yeah,
of course, I'm sure with COVID right now, no one's knocking
yeah,
knocking at any
absolutely.
doors. But yeah, it's a great tradition. I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Like, there was this group on Facebook during the quarantine that popped up. I have been wined. Did anybody
What
see
was the name
that?
of it again?
Hopkinton quarantine. I have been wined, I think.
Oh,
I forget the name. It was so cool. Whoever joined it, they said about what they like to drink, and some people don't drink wine. They just like coffee. So women were randomly picking up other women who did not know. So the criteria was you could not know them. And they would go and drop off a bag of goodies and something to drink that goes with
Oh
it
my God.
outside. It was so nice. It was so nice. It just felt
thanks, Mike. Okay,
Oh,
there it is.
wow.
that's
I
All
the
did
right.
one.
not
Yes.
know that.
I
So
don't know who started it, but what a great way. What a
yeah, you see, and that's the kind of stuff that I love because we know, like as you were talking, and by the way, Mina, you were both very eloquent on that last question. You know what, I find that so interesting. I really do. And, you know, I'm really hoping that this world is beginning to move towards more open conversation and more sharing because when we do, we find out that, oh my goodness, you know what? We're all just people. That's all. We're all just people. And we all have like really cool stories going on. So thank you for that. Our time grows short. If you have another a minute or so that you could talk about some upcoming events or activities or whatever you have going on, we're here to catch up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a 5K run planned soon coming up as a fundraiser for the Hopkinton Emergency Management Team. And we will be present at the farmers market and also at the polyards. So we are hoping to offer chai and maybe cookies or samosas, but yeah, let's see.
Okay, great. Maniza, do you have anything to add?
No, not. I don't think there's one. It's a small thing, but it's a small little group that we have of 10,000 steps a day. You said 5K walk, and that reminded me. So
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it, I must admit, but there's a lot of women. So we started this small little group of just 3, 4 people, and we kept adding people. And every day I see other people log on 10,000 steps and a picture of their steps. And it's just motivating. It's motivating for everybody else. It would be great to have more people on that.
You know, I think that's really good because you said yourself that's a very small thing, but you know what? It's not a very small thing, you know? Just like that wine thing. It's like this is how we learn about each other.
Yeah.
This is how we just, you know, we have one life and we share it. And, you know, we all are the better for learning about other cultures and about, you know, just all of us together. I think it's just really, really cool. I'm really glad that you have come together and are such a vibrant part of our vibrant community of Hopkinton.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us also. This was lovely. And hopefully we get to see you at our colorful events.
All right. You know what? I'm
Thank you so
pretty
much.
sure you will. I definitely will. So Muniza, thank you so much for sharing. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon and seeing you at some of these events.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you so
day.
much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye
And
bye.
And thank you for watching this episode of the Hopkinton Hangout Hour. And I invite you back next week where we talk more about our community. Take care, everyone.